Hi, everyone. I'm delighted to be part of the Economic Times 5G Congress. I think over the last, perhaps over the last 3 to 4 months, we're beginning to see more and more traction around 5G in India. If you look at the devices that are getting shipped into India, about 3% of the devices that are being shipped in are already 5G ready. Across the world, you're seeing more and more rollouts of networks, particularly in the developed world, in China, in the United States, and certain parts of Europe. And we ourselves have done two things. Number one is really been part of the ORAN community, which is the Open Radio Access Network community. And we're working on cutting edge 5G use cases. In fact, we just announced a partnership with Qualcomm. Secondly, as you may have heard, we have been the first telco in India to demonstrate 5G over a live network. We did this in the city of Hyderabad. So everything seems to be kind of moving in the right direction. But I want to step back and say, what are the issues and challenges that the nation confronts as we move towards 5G? I think that 5G technology really comes to life well beyond speed and capacity. If you look at 5G, what is it that this technology is really about? Number one, it's about a lot of capacity, which means a lot of spectrum, and that can give you blazing speeds. So I think this is one part which everybody understands, and that's fine. But if it was only limited to this, then I think the technology is not being utilized fully, because there are two other things about 5G. The second is what is called concurrency. What concurrency really means is that simultaneously you have several million connected devices in a given area. Now, what are these connected devices? These could be machines talking to each other, they could be sensors talking to each other. And the capacity that 5G is able to deliver through this concurrency is enormous. The third thing that it gives is an incredibly low latency. Now, where do you need low latency? You need applications. For example, if you're doing a remote surgery, you have to get this really right in terms of precision to actually make that laser go exactly where the surgeon wants it to go. Or if you're looking at driverless cars, or for example, if you're running a live concert and the singer is there and the rest of the world around is kind of watching or listening to the singer, or if you want to take a virtual reality tour. So the reason I am a bit sketchy on these applications and use cases is because they still don't exist in their full measure. So the real challenge on 5G is to have use cases that deliver capacity, which are available, that deliver concurrency, which are not all available, and that deliver low latency, which are not all available. So what do we need to make this happen for India? I think there are 3 or 4 things that India needs to make this happen. The first is an ecosystem of innovation. This is the time for the entire industry, for regulators, for government to work together to actually create these use cases. Who would have thought, for example, 10 years ago, that there would be the growth or the whole advent of the food delivery industry or the ride sharing industry? All of this was built on 4G networks. In much the same way, you need a dramatic proliferation of use cases around innovation to exploit this technology. And that means building this ecosystem. For example, manufacturing. You can actually have private 5G networks that are improving the quality of manufacturing through very low latency applications. The second thing that 5G needs is abundant spectrum. Abundant spectrum and a roadmap for abundant spectrum. And obviously, this spectrum being available at the least possible cost, because ultimately, where you want the money to go is in rolling out networks and building the spine that the country needs. The third thing that 5G needs is what's called backhaul. Now, what is backhaul? Backhaul is basically the capacity that you need to be able to carry the traffic that is emanating from networks, from the access side of the networks, all the way through to where the applications are actually being served. So this could be in other parts of the world, the servers of YouTube or Facebook or Google, or indeed in other parts of the country, wherever these services are being delivered. Now, the two routes to delivering backhaul are either fiber or microwave. While fiberization is important and India needs more and more fiber, I think there are really powerful microwave technologies that also give you incredible capacity for backhaul. And this is where the E and the V band come in. The access to the E and V band for operators in order to drive backhaul at a fraction of the cost without digging up roads, without destroying the environment, is another very important imperative that will enable 5G. And finally, I would say you need a strong determination to drive innovation by India for India. But at the same time, you need standards that are global, standards that are uniform, because what you don't want to have is standards that are India. If the standards are global, then the Indian ecosystem will flourish. So in a sense, I would say from our perspective, we are more than willing to do our bit. We're excited about the opportunity that 5G presents. We believe that the movie has begun because there is an entry of some devices into India, but these devices are still only for the first use case, which is really about speed and capacity. But some of the other pieces, which is concurrency and latency, need this growth of this ecosystem for which these four enablers are critical. So again, I want to thank Economic Times for organizing this Congress. I think it's very timely. And over the next 12 months, I see a great deal of excitement for Airtel to do its bit in partnering with the rest of the community to drive this ecosystem. Thank you.